In the theater of criminal justice and statutory defenses, the line between aggressive property defense and justifiable self-defense is microscopically thin. After an intense trial and 8 hours of grueling deliberations, a jury delivered a controversial total acquittal for Rick Chow, the gas station owner accused of killing 14-year-old Cyrus Carmack-Belton. Taking the stand in his own defense, Chow provided critical testimony regarding his internal psychological state during the escalation. He testified that he firmly believed the teenager was actively shoplifting from his retail store, and crucially, that the youth was armed with a firearm.
Indictment number 2023 GS400740, State of South Carolina, County of Richland versus Chike Rick Chow. We, the jury, unanimously find the defendant, Chike Rick Chow, as to the charge of murder, not guilty. Fine number 302, foreperson, June the 1st, 2026. Madam Forelady, this is your verdict and the verdict of the entire jury.
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Thank you. Madam Forelady and ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm going to ask you 2 questions relating to your verdict. Please answer yes or no to each. Number 302, was this your verdict?
Yes, it was.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, it is.
Number 2, was this your verdict? 257?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Number 63, was this your verdict? Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Number 208, was this your verdict? 208, is it still your verdict? Number 226, was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Number 329, was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Number 222, was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Number 164, was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Number 21, was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Number 204, was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Number 232, was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Number 259, was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
The jury's been told, Your Honor.
Very good. Anything else? Not at this time, Your Honor. We just like staff post trial motions to come 10 days. We do those.
10 days, any post trial motions you may have, anything from the defense? Okay.
Chow argued before the court that his actions met the strict legal thresholds of self-defense, claiming he discharged his weapon not to protect property, but because he experienced an immediate, reasonable fear that the teenager was about to open fire on his son. As the foreperson read the not guilty verdict aloud, the emotional gravity of the legal system collapsed onto the room, with members of Cyrus's family seen crying and sobbing heavily inside the courtroom. This verdict stands as a massive real-world case study on how juries interpret immediate threat perception and the lethal boundaries of protective force under intense operational pressure.
I remember growing up and watching shows with my father. And I'm old enough to date myself a little bit that we would actually listen to radio shows. And one of the radio shows that we would listen to quite often is a guy named Paul Harvey. And what he would do is he would tell stories. And in telling stories, what he would do is tell a story that he thought that everybody actually knew. He would tell a story, he would give details of a story that he thought that everybody actually knew already. And he would tell it, and he would tell it in his interesting way, but what he would do is intentionally leave out parts of the story so that people would be a little confused, because they'd heard the part of the story that they thought that they knew, but he would leave parts out. And then he would take this huge pause after he was done, and everybody think it was over, and then he would say this famous line. He would say, "And now it's time for the rest of the story." And then he would spend the rest of the show telling the listener the rest of the story that they did not know. He would do this because he understood people. He understood that we are a generation of people who simply listen to headlines, listen to flashy things, and don't hear the rest of the story. He understood that if he could tell just small parts of the story in the way that people thought that they understood them and didn't hear the rest of the story, then they would believe things one certain way. And the way that he did it was fascinating. It was interesting. People started to understand that that's the way we have to start listening. Because if we only hear part of the story, then we can never get to the truth. And so as we sit here and get ready for our closing argument, all we're going to do now is tell you the rest of the story. I will tell you wholeheartedly, and this might come across as a shock, I agree with some of the stuff that the state of South Carolina said. When they got done with their closing argument, folks next to me said, "Do you want to take that dollar down?" And I said, "No." Because let me tell you with unabashed honesty, they are 1,000% right about the following statement. If Rick Chow executed a human being over a $1 bottle of water, enjoy hell. Let's make that clear. If Rick Chow shot a man in the back stealing $1 bottle of water from his store, you do what you will. Because there's nothing to justify this back and forth. Was he right? Was he wrong? It doesn't matter. Taking a human life over a bottle of water is absolutely ridiculous. It is wrong under any way that you could possibly look at it. And that's why the state has gone out of their way to put this $1 bottle of water up, to put this picture up, because they want you to believe that this is what this case is about. The rest of the story. It has nothing to do with this water. It doesn't. Because if that was what it was about, this wouldn't be a complicated case. As we sit in front of you, the things that we have to talk about is we have to break down everything that we have watched in this case. And we need to break down what the state of South Carolina has presented to you. And as we break it down, we can break it down inside of 3 classifications, what they've put on the scene. They put on what they call eyewitnesses. They put on investigators. And they put on experts. You remember? Those are the 3 things that they have given us. He hates him so much that he executes him. Why not shoot him when he gets out of the store? Gun's already on his hip. Why not walk out of the store? Shoplifter, $1, he stole, shot. Shoplifter, 10 yards, shot. Shoplifter, 20 yards, shot. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110. Why wait 130? Unless something changed. What changed was somebody pulling a gun and pointing it directly at his son. That's what changed. If he wanted to execute Cyrus, he could have done it right outside of that store. But we have to ignore that because that would be part of the rest of the story. Use your common sense and listen to the evidence, but listen to the witnesses and listen to what they have told you. Murder, as the state has told you, is the intentional killing of another human being with malice aforethought, without self-defense. We have just showed you self-defense and defense of others. The state has melded a little bit of those theories together, but you need to make sure that you understand. 1, without fault and bringing on the difficulty. Again, I've explained to you that you have a legal right to follow somebody. Whether they like what the law is, that's what it is. And as you're going through that, then you have to talk about imminent danger. And this is from the eyes of Andy. And they're trying to mix the 2 of the things together, but it's under the eyes of Andy at this point. As Andy, does he have a fear of imminent danger? Was a gun pointed at Andy? Would Andy, who had withdrawn from the conflict, you got it, I'm over this? No. Would Andy have had a right to point the firearm and save his own life? Reasonable person. A reasonable person in the same situation, what would they have done? And we can take that 2 ways if we want to argue the state's theory. Way 1, Andy, gun pointed at you. Would he have had a right, as he was saying, remember that knife in the back situation? Andy would have had a right to fire to save his own life. But more importantly, the reasonable person's situation, Rick Chow would have had a right, and did have a right, to save his son. The strongest evidence that was given in entire this case when the officer got on the stand and I asked him that question. And I said, have you ever fired your firearm? No. Have you had a firearm pointed at you? Yes. I didn't fire. What if someone was pointing at your loved one? Yeah. I asked that same officer the situation when officers are chasing somebody and you chase them incorrectly. Remember we asked him that question. You chase somebody incorrectly, what happens? We chase them incorrectly, it does happen. And what would happen if that individual pointed a firearm at you? Remember the example he gave? If someone pointed a firearm as I'm chasing them incorrectly, well, I would tell, and they turned around and pointed a firearm at me, I would tell them, stop, drop it. And if they did not drop it, I would fire. It sounds eerily familiar to this case. And that's some of the rest of the story that the state of South Carolina, for some reason, has chosen not to tell us today. And then we go, duty to retreat, or can you retreat? As a person is pointing a firearm at you and you're pulling backwards and someone is saying, stop, no, don't. That's what duty to retreat is. No one turns and runs. The judge is going to tell you, as I mentioned, if we're talking about self-defense, and I've said it several times, you have a right to act on appearances, and you have a right to be wrong. So as we sit here and we're in Rick Chow's position, we're wondering what Rick Chow is doing. As we've heard this testimony, Rick Chow sees a gun pointed at his son. His son says, as you heard, I was afraid, I was terrified. He's got a gun, he's got a gun. So Rick Chow in that situation stands in the place of his son. This case is not about a dollar. This case is not about a shoplifter. This case is about a father who sees a gun pointed at his son and had to make a decision.